this situation?
Well, I think so. 3 seconds is a long time. I don't know how many timeouts they got left, but we know for sure they can take the ball and throw it to half court. Draw a timeout, but they can't. So they've got to get the ball in, hopefully to half court. You've got 1 dribble for every second. So you got 2 dribbles before you have to shoot it. And or 2 passes. They can do either one. They need to know that, and of course each player realizes that. Inbound pass, 2 dribbles, and a shot. So they're probably going to have to take something like a half.
I present Mr. Paris McCurdy.
Guess you get the lights in here.
Yeah, I was gonna put the lights.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here. Thanks, Dr. Maria, for inviting me out to come out to share my story. Before I get started, I wanted to say, my man in the back there, I love your hair, man. But yeah, so I just came in, and one of my favorite moments in this video, in this clip, was the end, where the coach and all the guys, the whole arena erupted, and you could just see the unity that we had, especially from all the other players and the fans and whatnot. So that's probably the highlight for me, bigger than the shot, just to see how everybody just came together like that. And that's how we were as a team when we were here at Ball State. So just in brief, I came here back in 1990 is when I graduated. We had a couple good years. We had a couple great seasons here. We were ranked in the top 20, beat some Big Ten schools, put on some good performances here on campus, and it electrified the whole city of Muncie, all throughout. I mean, it was fanfare. We didn't get a chance to experience a lot of the fun and all the excitement that the students got to experience, where they were down in the village. They were on light poles. They had torn light poles down and all kinds of stuff. So it was pretty hectic here in Muncie. So it was a surprise for what we were able to do. But being here at Ball State and being able to be in front of you guys, all of you, is cool for me, because I was y'all at one point here on campus, sitting in the classroom, and listening to somebody talk and give a spiel about whatever they did when they were here. So, you know, this is a treat for me. But with regards to my career here at Ball State, guys, we played Louisville. Before that game, I had a chance to go over to their huddle before they tipped the ball off and told them that we're the real Cardinals. So that kind of roughed them up a little bit. And then we went on to beat them, and then we lost to UNLV in regulation time. We lost by 2 points, and that year they won the entire tournament. And we only lost by 2, but they blew everybody else out by like 30 or something like that year. So it was a great run for us. You know, whenever you're out, and this applies to y'all in life as well, you never know who's watching. You know, you never know who's watching. You never know who knows who, right? And oftentimes the old saying is, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. But I'm totally against that. For me, it's not about what you know, it's about who knows you. And how people get to know you depends on the impression that you leave upon them. And I said that to say that and I was also projected to go in the second round of the NBA draft. I had talked with Cleveland, New Jersey, the Pacers, the Clippers, Milwaukee, and Detroit as well. So what happens during that time, the general managers for the NBA or the player personnel director for the NFL, they the ones that reach out to the guys and whatnot. Preferably they call your agent. I wasn't signed. I didn't have an agent at the time. So I was sitting in my room when Denver called, and I was watching One Life to Live. So that's one of those stories. You know, that was one of my shows I used to watch before practice every day. So I was hooked on that show, on that story. You know, so but I had a chance to make a decision. I signed as a free agent with Denver. I went on with them for a year. I re-signed with them the next year. My heart really wasn't in the football piece, so I still wanted to play basketball. So Sacramento called me and asked me if I was interested in coming out to try out with them. So I went in and talked to the head coach, Dan Reeves, told him what my opportunity was, and he, you know, they had to release me first in order for me to be able to go try out with the NBA team. So he stuck with he honored his deal. You know, he went on ahead and he released me. He tried to encourage me to stay. Told me I could be something special in football at my size and my speed. He said in basketball, I'd come a dime a dozen. So, you know, I understood that, but my heart was in basketball. So I gave up a contract with the Broncos, decided to go out here to try with Sacramento. So I'm out there, went out, got into veterans camp, vet camp went about a month or something like that. And then they made the announcement of the people that made the team. So the next day in the paper, the headlines read, "Paris is lovely this time of year." So that was pretty cool. So I had made the team with Sacramento. So I had a chance to go play in the NFL, NBA. And there's not a lot of guys that did that. So you got Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, NFL, baseball, and then you got to say Paris McCurdy too, with the NBA and the NFL. So far as I know, I've been told with the research that I'm the only guy that did that had signed contracts in the NFL and NBA. So it was pretty special, as you might imagine, you know. So did that, and I had an opportunity at the end of that year with Sacramento. Didn't stay long. They had a trade, and in that trade they got Mitch Richmond, and they also got an extra guy. And so by me being the 12th guy on the roster, they had to bump me up. So, you know, but I was able to get 75% of my contract, which I was okay with. I had an offer to go overseas. And I went overseas and really enjoyed what I had experienced over there. My first job was in Australia. That was my first overseas job. And it was nice. You know, Australia reminded me of a little America. It was just far away, but it was very enjoyable. Then I had other opportunities the next year to go over to Europe. So I went to Spain. I was in Italy, France. I also played over in Japan. Played in Turkey. And when I tell people, you know, what my career looked like, I always say it was a colorful career. And I had a chance to travel the world, and I did it all with the skill of playing basketball, and it was for free, you know. And from that, you know, all of that travel and experience that I got me right here to where I am today at Ball State. So when I got done playing, I retired in 2005, got involved with coaching high school sports, coached high school basketball, and then had an opportunity to come here to Ball State. And so this was a good choice for me to come here. You know, my old stomping grounds, the people here in the community still remember me. My role here is a director for community diversity initiatives. So my role is to tie the Muncie community into the campus community, dovetail the two so that we can become one. Again, that unified and unity piece, you know, I'm very familiar with that, right? So it was a great opportunity. I thought it was a good transition for me from going to playing sports into doing something like this. So I'm pretty excited about the work that I do here at Ball State. I've been here for 8 years now. So it's ongoing work. It's a work in progress, you know, but it's fun work because I get to deal with people all the time, you know, and I like people. With my travels, I used to love getting to the airport. I love to sit back and just watch people, watch what they do, watch people late, you know, running, trying to hurry up, get to their gate, see them getting upset because the ticket or they're been put on standby or something like that, you know. So, but all that stuff was really cool for me. And you know, what I've surmised about travel, for me, travel is the university of life. You know, you're here, you're getting this education, you're in these books. You know, don't leave that out of what's next for you. You know, take the opportunity to get out and travel. You know, experience the world. You know, be willing to accept something that's not the same as yours. I don't want to say it's different. I just say it's just not the same. You know, because they have what they do, right? And you have what you do. So I don't call it that. But you know, I want to encourage y'all to definitely get out and travel and experience the world. You know, it'd be very helpful.
Daniel Keene, Ball State Daily News. What's your first memory of basketball?
Wow, so that's a great question. And so my first memory was when I was walking with my cousins. They were 2 and 3 years older than me. And they had pulled out some cigarettes to smoke some cigarettes. So they lit the cigarette up, one puff, the other one puffed, and they said, "Here, Paris, here's one for you. You know, here, you get a puff." And I told them, I said, I don't want to smoke. And they said, "How come you don't want to smoke?" I said, "'Cause I'm gonna be an athlete." And at that point, I think I put it in motion right then when I said that. I was 11 years old when I said that. And so for me, I thought playing sports, being an athlete, was just playing in high school. But, you know, it was bigger than that. I had no idea about the college piece and, you know, going on to play pros. I watched them coming up. But something I always share with everybody, too, my idol, or who I love the most, was Bruce Jenner. He was on the cover of the Wheaties box. And him being in the decathlon, I thought that was phenomenal, what he did during that time. And it was something special. So that was something that inspired me too. So I kind of took that from when I was, you know, playing basketball, just having that kind of attitude, that little grind, that little grit about me, helped me with that. But it was that time when I realized that that's what I really wanted to do.
And then walk me through your commitment to Arkansas, and then when you knew you needed to transfer, and when Ball State came into the picture.
So I was really, I tell people I was on the coattail of Curtis Kidd. Curtis Kidd was a blue chip All-American coming out of Detroit. We're both from Detroit. We went to high school together. And I mean, colleges were coming in from all around watching Curtis. And I just was a hard player. So because we had such a great relationship, a lot of the coaches saw that. And they made an offer to him, said, "Hey man, if you come, we'll sign Paris as well." And so that's what got us down to Ball State. Curtis could have gone to Missouri, SMU, Michigan. He could have gone to several schools. I did get some offers for football coming out of high school. It was because of my size. You know, that might have been an opportunity for me, but basketball, again, is what I wanted to do. We went on ahead, we signed there. We went to Little Rock. We got into a situation down there with some alumni where it became illegal what we had done. We had taken some money, and so the university were going to take our scholarships from us and all of that. But after they kind of got everything straightened out, they asked us to come back, but because the coach was washing his hands with us at the time, we decided we didn't want to come back there. And so we ended up coming to Ball State because of Sidney Moncrief and Al McGuire. Sidney Moncrief played with the Milwaukee Bucks. Al McGuire, you guys know who that is. And they came down and watched us play. Ball State did. And we were playing against, Scottie Pippen was playing at the time in the summer. So they came in and watched us play against them, and afterwards they said we had to have them. So by us being only 3 hours from Detroit and 18 hours being in Little Rock, Michigan State, UTEP, Utah, Southern, a few other schools in the MAC were looking at us. But we thought Ball State would be a good choice because they were low, they were trying to come up. It just seemed like it would have been a great opportunity for us. So that's what got us here to Ball State.
McCurdy, Ball State Sports Link. Mentioning that game against OSU, you played Gary Payton, who is notoriously known for his trash talking ability, and I came across something that said you were also a big trash talker, enough where you were able to almost shut up Yuri Payton. Why was that kind of a niche for you? Like, why was that so important for you to kind of
I
shift
think,
back and forth?
I think simply put, it was Muhammad Ali. You know, Muhammad Ali would talk and tell guys what he was going to do to them, and he would do it. So he always from that team have gone on and are successful in whatever their prospective career. Now you got a kid that's coming here under some great coaching, right? And he get 2 years under his belt, and they can come here and just recruit them over for a couple of dollars. You know, it changed the game, right? And just on a personal note, I don't think that they should be paying the players like that. Not where they get this money all the time. Now, I'm for them giving them something or whatever the case is. I'm not a hater or anything like that. But I think that the way that they disperse it should be different. And I think they should have that money set up. And I'm saying this after my life experiences and everything, after going through it, that I think that they should actually have that money go into a trust. And at the end of their 4 years, when they graduate, upon graduation, now they can get it. But you got to graduate. They got to tie it into education. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if they did something like that, it would be, I think they would get a better result. Guys would stick at the university where they are. Right now, there's no loyalty. You know, they're chasing a dollar. And that money goes so fast. You know, I mean, it goes just like that before you know it. And so that's just their little run, you know.
What was your motivation? Cali to Ball State Sports Link.
Excuse me, Mr. McCurdy.
Yes.
I'd like to remind my news reporters that we stand to ask our questions until you know them personally.
Okay.
So they don't have to say Maria Williams Hawkins News 7. So please follow my rule in this game.
Cali to Ball State Sports Link. What was your motivation? Like, what was your why when you were playing at Ball State? Because, like, being an athlete, like, isn't easy. What got you motivated in getting up each morning to continue playing basketball?
So my motivation goes back to my father, right? My pops would come home. So my dad actually stopped going to school in the 7th grade. And when I kind of put it together, I said, well, if he stopped going in the 7th grade, he probably wasn't doing anything before that either. You know what I mean? Just 7th grade just became the limit. And so he stopped. But I saw where he was getting up, going to work every day, had to do manual labor, you know, took on different jobs. But I did see that he wanted to advance himself. So he went out and did things like got his CDL so he can drive for the public transportation. He was doing that. Then he moved over to truck driving. He worked in the plant for a while. But I would hear him every day coming in complaining about how he hated working in that plant. Summertime, it's burning up in there, it's hot, you know what I mean? He would spend 14 hours, they had mandatory doubles that they had to do. So, you know, the weekend comes, I mean, he get, Saturday off, he got to go back in sometimes on Sundays, get a check on Friday. I saw my dad living paycheck to paycheck. I watched my dad dodge the bill collectors call in there. The funniest moment for me with that was when one day they called. He was just so frustrated. He told my mom to answer the phone. And he said, Minnie, my mother's name is Minnie. And so he said, Minnie, answer the phone, tell him I ain't here. And so my mom picked up the phone, and she didn't want to do it. My mother was, you know, devout Christian lady, blah, blah, blah. And she picked up that phone, and she said, hello? They said, yes, George McCurdy, please. And she said, he told me to tell you he ain't here. So I just thought that was hilarious for me right there. But that right there, you know, experiencing that, and there's 7 of us there were 7 of us. I'm the only one that had gone to college. It was just something I think that I didn't want to be in that position that my dad was in. I don't remember wanting for anything. You know, as a kid, we don't know what we're missing out on, you know. But I just remember my dad saying he didn't want to do that. But if I wasn't playing basketball, I probably would have been a truck driver. Yeah, I liked when we would get on the road and travel and seeing those 18-wheelers with all that chrome on them, the lights on them and all of that. I think I would have been a truck driver.
Brandon Beeman, Ball State Sports League. You said like there's no loyalty now without the transfer portal. What was the dynamic like when you transferred, and how do you think maybe NIL would have affected you when you were in college?
So going backwards, so NIL, if we had it back then, I probably would have had some fat pockets too, right? I still get a chance to tell people that I took a pay cut when I left Ball State because we had boosters. You know, it's just something about doing something under the table that makes it exciting, right? So we had to meet at certain times, and I'm excited about doing that. But coming here to Ball State, it was a cool experience because of the support that we did have on the outside, and they really wanted to. They did want it. They wanted. Ball State was set up for what we were able to do. We just happened to come here at the right time, I think. And what Curtis and I were able to bring coming in and transferring from Little Rock, we won down there. We came in as freshmen under 4 guys that were phenomenal seniors. Mike Clark, Pete Myers. Pete was the guy who, when Michael Jordan retired, he filled that 2 spot. He went on, he coached. He had a couple of stints as head coaches for a couple of teams, for NBA teams, I think San Antonio and for Chicago, I think, at one point. He was like the interim coach. Ken Worthy and Myron Jackson. And those guys were something special. One of the things, I think something that was super major that they taught us, that they brought to the table, was how when we got out there on the court and we played against each other, he said we were at war. We fought. We literally, there were days the guys leave out bleeding, But once we left from playing, we would go back up to our apartments and we would all eat together. We'd have a beer together. That was actually going on. But they made it a point of saying, hey, listen, out here everything is fair. You play within the rules. Everything within the rules is fair. He said, but outside of here, once you get off this court, man, y'all family. So that was something that was pretty big for us.
In Media 110, you talked a lot about unity, and the video we watched, like, you can see the morale of the environment and how everyone comes together. How do you think that had an effect on your team? Because I feel like that's something that we lack as a school today.
I heard that. I like that comment. Well, the thing that I saw, or what we experienced, that we all wanted to see each guy do well. We had guys, so what we had was, they had a great team, and these were guys that were regular students who came and walked on. So they would be the team that would dress up and go through all of our opponent's offense and how they were set up. So we had to learn all that stuff off of them. Those guys became part of the team. It was like they were like part of our team. We didn't care. And the coach would alternate who would get dressed out of that group. So it depended on how hard they worked in practice during the week. And I think 2 guys out of the 5 would get a chance to come and dress. And when we played, we literally played so that they could get in the game. And when they got in the game, we cheered them, wanted to see them score. It was phenomenal. But I think that the unity side of it, we weren't like 10 or 15 individual guys. We were one. We were one unit, and that's what that unity brought for us. And I think that's what really helped us with our winning. Because nobody else, because the coaches would do some stuff that just was like, hey man, why you want to question it. But we knew how to separate ourselves from the coaches, and we would come together, and we were the ones out there playing. We understood that we had the control out there. The outcome of that game was on us. It's like y'all coming in here all week, practicing, studying or whatever. You got to do your homework, and then on Friday is game day, test day.
Originally, I actually heard that you were just somebody just playing sports, and you just didn't necessarily know what you wanted to do until you started seeing recruitment come in and having opportunities to play college. So, really, where did that love for the game of basketball stem from?
So I wouldn't say it was so much the love for the game of basketball in as much it was my love to compete. I didn't care what I was doing. You know what I mean? I grew up in a family of 7. So it was the first one to get to the table, get the biggest piece of chicken. You know what I'm saying? My brother would get up in the morning and he would get the cereal box, and he would grab it, and he would grab a big old pot and fill his up. So if you didn't get up early before him, he was going to eat all of the cereal up, you know. So it was just, for me, it was just the competition aspect of playing, period. I played tennis, I ran track, football, and the basketball. So with my height, you know, after growing and becoming 6'7", you know, I got pulled in certain directions. So it was, that's really was my drive from that standpoint. What diversity is, right? So my role is, our role, well, the university wants to focus on inclusive excellence, right? And so for me, being on a team like that and the other previous teams, I really understood how it didn't matter where you came from, what your culture was or whatever. If you can play basketball, we fighting the same fight, you know? And so with what the university want to do with regards to, you know, quashing that narrative, that town and gown narrative here in Muncie, that separation that we have. I mean, even talking to some of the community members, they say, oh, they don't want us out there, blah, blah, blah. I get a chance to share with them oftentimes how, you know, playing sports and helping them recall what we did as a team back then, and saying that, hey, look, all y'all got to do is come on out and participate. You know, if you want to come out and you're not going to start anything or whatever, stuff like that, hey, man, they want you here just as well here on our campus and everything, you know. So absolutely, that part of it and that love for those guys, we're like brothers. We call each other brothers, you know, because we were going to war. We went out to fight, you know, and we had to do it together.
Ball State Sports Link. In an interview that your coach previously did, he said that if he had 5 of you, he would be just fine. How does that affect your career when going forward with it? And then what did that comment do to you? Did you think about it always, and why?
So I did think about that comment before. I mean, and there were several coaches that shared that with me. You know, one, Rick Majera said that if he was walking down a dark alley, right, he would want me by his side. Coaches, I know Coach Newell has said that about, you know, having 5 pairs of McCurdy's, he would be fine. But what it did was it brought on a challenge to me without him saying it. So what I had to do was come in every day and live up to what his expectations was, what he thought about me. So I came in every day and bust my butt, every single day. You know, he made a comment, told us this, when we first got on campus, we're sitting in the room, and he said, guys, if you do exactly what I ask you to do, you'll have success in my program. And that's just like what Dr. Maria said, hey, if you do it my way, you know, together, right? I think we understood that. We got that. And I called us bookends. You know, I mean, you know, you put them books up on the shelf, and you got to have those bookends in it and hold them books up straight. And that's where Curtis and I kind of came together. We started off in high school together. That's when we first met, you know, as freshmen in high school. And there was just never a question that we shouldn't be together. We just worked so swell together. We never talked about, it was never even a thought to do something different, even at the time we were transferring. You know, matter of fact, when I came here on my way from Little Rock, headed back up to Detroit, I stopped in town, and I kind of like, I walked the campus and met with a few folks around here and everything. And I went back and I told Curtis, and he asked me, what do you think? I said, man, I think it's cool, Kurt. I said, hey, man, it's only like 4 hours from the crib. And I think, man, we can have some fun down there. They haven't won, they want to win, we know what to do. He's like, okay, G. That's when he left it at that. And so we ended up signing, coming to Ball State. Yeah.
Luke Barnes, Newslink, Indiana. You talk about we can have some fun here. As an upperclassman, I'm sure you were assigned to recruit younger guys coming to campus, trying to get them to sign with Ball State. Is there a night, if you don't mind sharing, that stood out to you? Maybe a night out where you and the guys had a good time.
So honestly, believe it or not, I didn't do it. I didn't go. Yeah, I wasn't a guy. I didn't hang out on campus like that. I wanted to make sure I stayed out of trouble, stayed out the way. The football players, we all kind of would hang together, but those dudes always wanted to get into some fights, man. They always wanted to get into something. They was always ready for a fight. And I would go and I would stay at a spot for maybe a couple minutes, and then I was gone. I would show up and I was out of there. I didn't hang out like that at all. Yeah.
Ethan Pastor, Ball State. You have many experiences playing at high levels, both here and internationally. How have those levels of competition helped you outside of basketball in your life now?
So having the opportunity to play at a higher level, obviously you got to have a certain mentality, right? You have to know, not believe, but know that you belong at that level. So you start moving and operating and thinking at that level. And on an international scale, my thought process is always from a global perspective. Anytime something comes up, I get a chance to pull from all of those experiences and the people that I've met and things that they've shared to come up with my answer or my decision. I get a chance to make I like to say, an informed decision. You know what I mean? So that's what that really did for me, It gave me a sense of achievement by being able to play. I still keep in touch with guys like Isaiah Thomas from Detroit Bad Boys, Rick Mahorn. A good friend of mine just passed a couple of days ago. I don't know if y'all heard about it, Earl Curitan. He's from Detroit, played with the Pistons, played with Houston. He got a couple rings, played with the Chicago Bulls. And several other guys throughout the league, so I know that I did prove myself with regards to being able to play. So I get a chance to walk around straight up with my chest out, even though I didn't stick, you know what I mean? I understood, I want to say, the politics of the game, but those politics equates to business. It's just business decisions. That's all it was, so. I said to that person who gets to make decisions, I said, well, I think it's totally unfair that you prompted that internal candidate on everything to talk about to the people for her interview. I said, I think that was unfair. I said, but the other person, they were able to deliver the knowledge that they have for this role, and out of the two people, she's the better candidate. And being able to speak up like that, the person actually said that they didn't do that, but her boss said, yes, you did. You know what I mean? And so that right there changed the game. So that internal candidate didn't get the position, the other person got the candidate.
Hi, Gavin Whitney, Ball State, and you mentioned being inducted in the college
significant impact on you or your career?
So for me, I get a chance to, I mean, sometimes it's about, bragging rights and things like that. But there are not a lot of guys that won over 100 Division I basketball games. All 4 of our years are Hall of Fame years. The records that we set, the respect that we get across the board. So with regards to career, as far as career, there's nothing that I don't know that I can't do. You know what I mean? I mean, if there's something that's on the table, I mean, whoever thought coming from the city of Detroit that I would have done what I was able to do in college, get a college scholarship for one, because nobody else went to college that wasn't heard of in our family. My father, with his education, my mom, she graduated high school, but that was it. Graduation wasn't important to them. Continuing ed wasn't important to them. So, with having the chance to experience that and be a part of that, and I'm not taking anything away from the coaches that I was under as well. The coaches, the way that they poured into us as players. When we came here on campus, everything, as a student athlete, everything is set up for us to succeed. They have everything in place for us because, again, going back to business, they want us to succeed. So they're investing in us with everything that we, tutors, all the stuff that go along with, what we need to have in school. So it helped me from that standpoint.
Evan Stowell, Ball State Sports Link. You have a pretty good understanding of team unity, and you've had a lot of history playing basketball. Has coaching ever been something that's on your radar?
So it was. I don't know if it's not, but when I got done playing in 2005, I had, believe it or not, my hair was longer than his. It was all the way down here. I had the locks in my hair. There wasn't another basketball opportunity after that, though, for a while. Then I got a call to go to Colorado State. Larry Stacy, who was a former coach, went out there, and it would have been a good opportunity, but I got a call from Ball State, so I had the two. It was like a week apart. So I thought that this right here would be a better opportunity for me, to come to Ball State. So I decided to go that route,
Ryan Stojets, Ball State Sports Link. With you being one of the few players who have played multiple pro sports, I'm wondering, what's the biggest difference in the day-to-day life as an NFL athlete compared to the day-to-day life as an NBA athlete?
So NFL, you're playing, you got your helmets on, you're padded up. Nobody knows you, nobody can recognize you. They see a big guy, they can just presume that, you're probably an athlete who plays some sport or something like that. Basketball, everybody knows who you are. You go out, people you can be eating at a table, somebody may come in, hey, we recognize you, and you have to respect it. I mean, the good guys, the guys who know and understand, they respect it. They'll take the time and sign, the autographs or whatever the case may be. It's a little more lax football because, it's all about explosion in football, having explosive power, so you get a chance to eat, you get bigger, you know what I mean? Basketball, you got to eat a certain type of food, so you can stay in shape, so you can rub it down that court. So it's a little difference.
Hi, Dan Huber, IPR News. So you played internationally. I even heard that
For somebody, blah, blah, blah. After playing ball and having the freedom that I had, I was self-motivated. I would work out. I understood that when the season comes around, the season told everything you did in the off season. So I understood that in order for me to get better for the season, I had to really work hard in the off season. So that's what I did. I worked hard in the off season so I could be prepared to come in and play during the season. And I forgot my train of thought. I totally forgot.
Okay.
What were you saying? This?
Well, I was wondering what made you go back to Muncie.
Come back to Muncie, that's the key. So what made me come back here was because it was closer, because I started a business in Detroit. It's an adult foster care. I have 5 homes. The residents live there 24 hours a day, and I work with, I guess it would be vulnerable, with a vulnerable population of adults. And so there was something that Isaiah Thomas told me my first year out. He said, hey man, just keep this in mind. You get a chance to make this money. It's not about what you got while you playing, it's what you got when you finish. So during the whole time I was playing, wherever I was just thinking about what I was gonna do afterwards. So I started kind of preparing ahead of time. The same thing y'all gotta do coming in as freshmen. You wanna think about what you're gonna do after you get out of here, because that's your motivation, that's what you're trying to work for, right? So I was doing that. And when I had the opportunity to come back to Ball State, it was an easy choice for me because I had been here. I was familiar with it. It's not far from up in Detroit where I'm from. So it was an easy choice for me.
Sam Iger again with Ball State Sports Link. You talked about your work now at Ball State connecting
With them, right? So it's the same thing with this, you know, understanding the importance of this body of work by making everybody feel included, make sure everybody feel like they belong. And that's what basketball did. You know, even when you would go, even if I went to another school to play with some of my buddies who went to another college or with another professional team, we would all still play together. We could be on the same team, you know what I mean? And so I think that part of it is really helps me have the right mindset to want to connect people and understand that, hey, this is the understanding that you need to have to make this happen, you know. So that's pretty much it.
Brandon Beeman, Ball State Sports League. You talk about how connections are huge for you. What's your connection with Michael Lewis and the current Ball State team?
So when Mike came on board a couple years ago, one of the things that I really appreciated about Mike is that he said he wanted to come in and develop young men to become fathers, right? He wants to develop young men who will be a good product in society. And his intensity level was ideal. So going back to, you know, the Ball State, I think when somebody had asked about, you know, the attitude now with basketball, I thought that he was a person that could really help bring and elevate the program, which, you know, it's a work in progress. You know, he inherited. I think it would be a great fit for a guy that plays. So you have your major, your mid-major, and your lower level college Division I basketball. I think that with the experience that I've had in basketball, all the playing, and something that people often forget about is they want to say that, like a guy, you take a guy like Rick Majerus. They say, oh man, Rick Majerus was a great coach. You know, he helped y'all, you know, he won, made y'all win all these games. And then I get a chance to really kind of absorb that, and I look at it and I said, well, you know, when Curtis and I were at Little Rock, we won the conference, we won the tournament, we won the NCAA. We did that 2 years in a row. We went to the NIT Final Four our sophomore year. I said, we came to Ball State, we go 29-3. In the previous year, they were 14-14. Then the coach leaves, we with another head coach, and we go to the Sweet 16. Had one of the better, seasons that we had during our college career. And I often look at this and I say, well, you had 2 different universities, we're Hall of Fame at both of them, we won, and we did that under 3 different head coaching philosophies. You know what I mean? Not just these are 3 guys who think basketball in a different way. But for me, I had a chance to pull from all of those coaches. Now, each one of those coaches were coaching us. If they were there with us for 5 years, 3 years, or whatever, that's the only basketball we would know as that team. But I had a chance to get something from each one of those coaches, each one of their assistant coaches, you know what I mean? All the professional teams that I played for, even playing football. There's a mentality that you get from a head coach. That was one of the things that Dan Reed said to me. He said they watched me. They had a window that they would look out and watch practice. And during our training in the summertime. And when he sat me down and I was telling him I wanted to leave, he said, son, we watched you and we think that you are an ideal guy to become one of our leaders of this team. And I think that's big coming from a guy like that. And I was only 22, 23 years old. That was it. So to be able to come to a school like Ball State, Isaiah Thomas said, he said one of the biggest things that if they ever try to say you weren't a head coach or something like that before, he says they're discounting your participation. So this part, what y'all doing right now, believe it or not, this right here is a springboard for y'all going on if y'all want to have this as your career. This right here is it. This is part of it right here. You know what I mean? This experience. This is real. This is real. I can say it's real because I've been in front of the media after a game, in a press conference, news conference, and I feel like I'm in front of the press conference for real. Y'all doing everything, the standing up, the questions, great questions, and y'all listening, y'all writing and everything. This is fun.
You talked a lot about just how at your time playing, the community engagement, the fan excitement, just obviously you guys had a great team. Looking at Ball State now, obviously our major sports have struggled a bit, and the fan support isn't anywhere close to what it was when you were here. Especially even with our top teams, like you look at women's basketball, who have been fantastic, and the community engagement could be a lot better. They're building something special like how you guys were. How do you think we get back to that with what you guys had, despite some of the struggles that we've had?
Well, I would say this, and it's kind of is part of Dr. Maria's question too. When these coaches come here at this level, right, this is really just a springboard for them to try to go and get them a bigger job, right? And so I think that they get caught up in themselves as opposed to the program and the players. Because everything, my coach, I know one of the comments that my coach said before was, he said, hey, it's not about what have you done for me lately, it's what have you done for me now. And he also put us in the locker room one time when the team was doing bad, and he said, hey, I know I told your parents that if it was up to me and I had to choose between you going to the NBA or getting your college degree, I told them I would choose your college degree. He said, I fucking lied. He said, and this was too wild, right? So he said, books first, basketball second. That's just what he did, just like that, So, I think that, at this level here, I think that you got to have people who are committed to the program. As they pull, this is one of those instances where that someone who's familiar, I wouldn't call them an internal candidate, but they are committed to seeing the success of the program as opposed to their own personal success, to get a big check.
As you mentioned, growing up in the city of Detroit, I'm a fellow Michigander myself.
All right.
I was just curious, like, how did growing up in the city of Detroit, shape your career as an athlete, and then shape you in your career in the professional world as well?
So I love that question right there. And actually, I'm from Detroit, and it's when I say that, I'm proud to say it's a place that I'm proud to say I'm from, right? Detroit is blue collar. Where are you from, actually? Where's your hometown?
West Bloomfield.
West Bloomfield. So, okay, Detroit, same thing. So, but coming from Detroit, Detroit helped me develop a certain kind of grime about myself. I would consider myself as grimy. I was that guy that was going to go out there and do whatever it took to win. Diving on the floor for loose balls, elbow shot, end up with stitches after the game. It didn't matter. I was getting in the mix, right? But Detroit is just one of those kind of places that I think, and I share this with people all the time, that it helped prepare me to be able to survive in any part of the world. It's a place where, people from Detroit, they hustle. They don't give up, right? They're innovative. They're not afraid to go out and work hard, to go get dirty. That's how I was. And I saw my dad. My dad would literally, so he could save time, he would put the clothes on he was going to go hang out in on Saturday to cut the grass. So he could finish cutting the grass and he can just go straight on over and go hang. His time was limited, you know what I mean? So he was just trying to figure it out, But yeah, Detroit is just, it's one of those places that without question I feel that it helped me to become who I am with that history of Detroit. Detroit, they're fighters. We're fighters up in Detroit. We're not going to back down to anybody. We're up for the challenge. Luke.
Thank you. Growing up in Detroit with such a large family, you said there's seven of you. Your brother's beating you to the pot for the Wheaties,
Yeah.
How did you keep your focus on your own personal goals? I grew up with a lot of siblings, and sometimes I can get kind of lost in looking at what they're up to and what they're chasing after. So how did you keep your focus on yourself?
So I think that what made it simple for me was I saw everything not to do. That was it. When he was in a deep thought, and he would sit there and he would take his hand, he would rub his hand over his mouth like this, just up and down, and he had this frown on his face. And I said to him, I stopped and I said, Daddy, why you so mad? Why you looking so mad? What you mad about? And he took his hand down, he said, and I'm gonna say it just like he said it, okay, y'all? But he took his hand down, he said, 'cause I ain't working shit. He said, if you had to take care of all these kids and pay all these bills, you'd be mad too if you ain't had no money. And I shut up, I didn't say nothing else. I said, okay, I gotta keep a job, you know what I mean? So that was big for me, that little experience right there.
Sam Niger again with Ball State Sports Link. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Bashir Jihad on the men's basketball team now, but he's also from Detroit.
Yeah.
If you could give him any advice, one Michigander to another, one Ball State player to another, what would you say to him to help him on his career?
And I'm with you. When I saw Bashir come in as a freshman, in my mind, what I saw, I said, he's a pro. He had the body, he had the athleticism, his coach that he had before Whitford, and then this guy, I think that, You know, Whiffer wasn't really like, he was a nice guy. Whiffer's just he's a good guy, right? He's not that getting your butt kind of guy, you know. So him coming from the suburb, right? He didn't have the same kind of challenges that we had being in the inner city. You know what I mean? And so that kind of dog, I want to say, in him, it had to be pulled out. It's there, but somehow it's got to be invoked for you to pull it out. You know what I mean? And playing for this guy with Mike, Mike is so intense, you know, it could be misunderstood. You know, the word, his language and whatnot, you know, how he talked to the guys. I think that may miss something, but I would tell, and I told this to Bashir as well, he got to get strong. You know what I mean? He got to get stronger, and he just have to play without thinking about it. Just play, because you get the minutes, and the coach want to win. You obviously one of the better players on the team. You know, you can't go out there thinking about what this guy's thinking on the sideline. And that goes back to what I said about us being able to separate from the coach, and we would come together and say, hey man, we're going to determine the outcome of this game. You know what I mean? So he needs to think about his future, what he wants, and I would tell him just that, just play, don't even think about it, just play the game. Get strong. I think you got to get stronger, you know, no question. But that would be pretty much it.
We have time for one question. I need to make sure if there's anyone who has not gotten up to ask a question that they use this time to get on the records.
I think everybody did stand up and ask.
Not everybody identified themselves.
Danny Huber, IPR News. You said that your job is to act as an ambassador for the community, working to dovetail the Muncie community with the college community. What made you feel the need to become that ambassador?
Well, I think it was just by default, you know, more than anything. You know, when they had the job description, you know, and this was something that they wanted to do. They wanted to move in this direction when we started having the bad police relations with the race relations with the police and whatnot with law enforcement. So Ball State wanted to get out front of that. And when the opportunity came and that role was there, when I talked to them as I went through the stages, one of my questions to them was, hey, are y'all just bringing me in just to check a box, or is it going to be purposeful? You know, am I going to be able to make an impact? And they promised me that I would. So as I move and I do things, regardless of what it looks like, whatever they're talking about, I'm doing it because they're saying they want to bring those two together, and they want to target the people or the groups that are in the shadows. And I know what it is to be in the shadow, you know. And so I want to bring exposure to those who don't get a chance to get it.
Do you feel like Ball State has followed up on their promise?
I think so. I would say yes. So that's why I'm still here. I've been here for 8 years now. So it's been cool. Yeah, for the most part. Overall, yes. Yeah. We keeping you up?
Yeah. Thank you for that observation. I'll just make one
I'm teasing with her. I'm only teasing. I'm teasing.
6:30 for practice.
All right, I know you're an athlete. I'm teasing with you.
I'll make one comment about the athlete that Sam brought up. The media department had a faculty member who was like a coach too, and students got lots of F-bombs and other expletives used when their work was being critiqued. We got more Emmys under his efforts than the university has ever won. It took a couple of years before students got it in their heads, like, he's not trying to make me feel bad, he just wants me to do better. And it's like, we just got Emmys. Ball State was the school you knew you had to beat. If you were talking about press writing, they knew we were going to win it in graphics. We were always going to win the awards in graphics from our journalism department. If you were talking about news reporting, we were always going to get hired. When he got through cursing students out, it's just amazing the kind of productions they finally came up with, because they knew that, crazy or not, and he had ADHD. Did he finish his college degree without
Wow.
So I want you to know that when I listen to you talk about people having drive and determination, his parents gave up on him. He quit talking to his mother because she didn't believe in him.
Mm.
But he had the determination, and that's what I'm hoping that I'm gonna see in everybody who's sitting in here, the determination to reach your goals. Harris reached his goals. It's like it was really clear from the things that he shared with you today. So if we can just show our appreciation.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be expecting your stories following the rules. Have a good afternoon.